All right, well, you're joining me for lunch today as I look at the music for a particular scene that I'm working on. There's two bits of music that I'm eventually going to be looking at. First and foremost, ultimately, I'm trying to find music for this battle sequence here. The character Despair and the character Azer are about to duke it out.
As mine. You are slow and clumsy.
And yet one drop of my essence upon your flesh will bring about your downfall.
You have a rather inflated self-image, creature.
And then they go into the little combat sequence here. Most of the time I find music at the end. I line up all the dialogue first, then the sound effects and everything else. Then I put the music in last. But sometimes, sometimes music just tells the story better than sound effects. Even though I'm going to have sound effects in this battle sequence, music can tell the story better than the sound effects or the grunts and stuff that I put into the scene. So this is Azer's last line. Before I drop in his next line, of course there'll be grunting and fighting, which is actually what these bits are here. But before there'll be grunting and fighting and grunting and fighting, and then eventually the battle will stop, and I will have Azer's next line, or maybe it's Despair's next line. I can't remember who talks next. But I need to figure out how long that battle sequence is going to be. Well, how long the music is going to be that I want to use there. So in this instance, rather than creating a scene and then kind of cutting and pasting the music is really going to come to the forefront. I just had to decide that in advance because I really want the music to tell the story here. I've got some cool music that I know I can use for it. But I'm going to give music the priority, so I'm going to work around the music, which I usually do not do. In most scenes when I have music, the music works around the scene. But before I pick the music that goes here, I need to know what music is going to come before it, because in this scene there's two main cues that I have to figure out. The cue here is the battle cue. The cue before that is the tension cue when Despair first shows up. We've got Despair showing up here. There's just been this big dramatic rescue sequence. Let's see here.
Let your fear turn to despair. This creature wishes to be...
Oh, wait, that's not it. Let's see, here it is, around here.
Don't give up, Christopher. They don't have you yet.
So Azer pulls Christopher out of the swamp. He was almost drowning. Azer saves him, pulls him to shore.
Truly your favorite, Christopher. It happens I was not far when you fell into this cursed place.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hold still. You are not free yet.
Come back to us, Christopher.
And that's the character Despair before any effects have been put on his voice. He's going to sound very creepy and muddy and juicy and stuff like that. But anyway, so that's the first time that the character Despair says anything, and I want a theme to come in right there. This is a temporary track I have right there. It's kind of the one I'm leaning toward right now. But I need to figure out what the tension track is going to be at this point, because then at one point I'm going to fade this out or cut it off or whatever and segue into the battle music. But before I pick that battle music, I have to pick this so that I know how to segue one into the other. If I pick a really cool thing here, then I run the risk of not being able to find something that's appropriate for this bit here that also will segue well into the battle music. Well, I've got a ton of battle themes to choose from, so that's where I have a much higher degree of flexibility. I don't have as much tension music in my library. In fact, I'm probably going to have to buy some. So I want to solve this issue in advance of what the tension music is going to be. So that's what I'm looking at right now. What's a theme that says the character Despair, that says creepy, swampy slime creature? That's what I'm going through right now. So I've basically exhausted my entire library. Now I'm looking at samples that are available of products that I can buy online. I'm currently looking at some stuff from shockwavesound.com, which I really like their stuff. And I just left off looking at Boomer, so now I'm going to see what else is next.
Preview.
That doesn't sound right at all. Sounds much too modern.
shockwavesound.com. Preview.
That's nice. Where's it going?
Preview.
Pretty much same place. Oh, maybe.
Shockwave sound.
Not creepy enough. I'm going to turn this up a bit.
Preview.
That sounds like sneaking around. No.
Preview.
Sounds a little bit synthy.
ShockwaveSound.com.
It might be too sci-fi for what I'm going for. Yeah, I'm not sold on it.
Shockwavesound.com.
No, it sounds mysterious but not creepy.
Preview.
Sounds like sneaking around.
Preview.
That sounds too modern.
Preview.
Nope.
Preview.
That's kind of cool.
Shockwavesound.com.
That was cool, but a
Shockwavesound.com.
little too much.